So today I wanted to talk about self-talk. Self-talk is one of the most, if not right up there with the most important parts of this journey. Self-talk is a huge player in how your reality is manifesting. Self-talk is a huge player in how you are experiencing reality as well. Now, I wanted to talk about specific parts of self-talk, and I'm also going to give you an example of something that happened in my journey that's really going to help understand the depths and importance of self-talk. Now, a way a human being protects themselves is through doing the same thing onto myself as I'm having done to me. An example of this would be if someone is emotionally abusive. Maybe as a child, I'm constantly told off. And when I am told off, I have to figure out how to not do the same thing again that got me told off. So my self-talk will be revolving around how to make sure that I am behaving the way that I am expected to behave so that I am not doing something that is wrong, which in turn gets me to be unsafe because that's when I'm told off. That's when I'm scolded. Now that wrong is extremely subjective because it's based on what I'm being told is right or wrong. In that moment, the way that I keep myself in line and I speak to myself is the way that I'm spoken to. So if my caregiver or whoever it is in that moment is speaking to me in a way that they might be saying like, what are you doing? They might be effing and blinding. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Get your shit together. Stop messing around. You keep fucking up. Why are you doing that? In order for me to keep myself in line and not do that again, that's how I'm going to talk to myself. So I'm going to be like, the fuck are you doing? Keep yourself in line. Get your shit together. Stop it. I'm going to say that to myself. And that's how I protect myself. This part of me is learning that that is how I can keep myself from being unsafe. So now I am adopting that type of self-talk as a way to keep myself safe. And when you have so many of these experiences throughout your life, you're going to adopt all of the ways that people, mainly your caregiver, mainly in the environment that you are being brought up, mainly the way people talk to each other or talk to you, that is how you are adopting and learning how to talk to yourself. Now, through this journey, we learn that we need to integrate these parts of ourselves. We become aware of what we are unaware of, the parts of ourselves that we are unconscious of. Through that awareness, we integrate them. A lot of the ways that we become aware of the parts of ourselves is through the way that I am talking to myself. If I drop some egg on the floor when I'm trying to make lunch and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, why did I do that? That's so, oh God, I'm so stupid. That's my self-talk. And in that moment, there needs to be awareness. Why am I speaking to myself like that? And this is where the logical mind can take over. The logical mind will come in and go, no, it's obviously I'm annoyed and I'm allowed to be annoyed. So I'm just being annoyed and that's it. But I need to understand why I'm talking to myself like that. Where did that behavior come from? Because realistically, there are an infinite amount of ways that I can talk to myself. I can swear, I can not swear and still be angry. I can be all right. I can be really kind to myself. There are many different ways and many different words in many different languages with many different intentions that I have options of speaking to myself. And this is huge for your journey because the awareness that comes to you in terms of how you speak to yourself is the new programming. So you need to program yourself in a new way to speak to yourself in that way. It's key on this journey for you to become aware of how you speak to yourself in every moment and just know that you can actually choose to speak to yourself differently. But what you've learned throughout your entire life is that I need to speak to myself the way people are speaking to me. And this is what we mean by taking on other people's beliefs, behaviors, the meanings that they give, I take on and make that mean this about myself. So as an adult, you have choices. Okay, I can either continue speaking to myself in this way or not. Now, I always use the example like, okay, if I was talking to you and let's say that you dropped the egg when you're trying to make lunch and you said to me, oh, Ariane, I was trying to make lunch and I dropped the egg. Now, if I would say to you, you're an idiot. Like, what an idiot. Like, you dropped the egg, you fucking idiot. That's one option. And that would understandably feel bad. I wouldn't feel good hearing that myself. So it'd be like, oh, that's not good. The other option that I could say something to you would be like, oh, well, it's only an egg. Like, so what? It happens. I've done it myself loads of times. It's okay. There's nothing wrong. And then that would feel very different to the first one. The thing that I would really want you to see is this. Depending on what I say makes you feel different. But it's not me that's making you feel different. It's what you're choosing to take on that's making you feel different. Because realistically, someone could say to you, oh, you're an idiot for dropping that egg. And you can just not take that on. You can be like, okay. And this is the self-talk. When we take it on, we are taking on the same behavior, the self-talk. Like, oh, I am an idiot for doing that. I was ridiculous for doing that. That's where I'm feeling the pain. That's the shame. That's the wound. That's what's coming up. So if you find yourself doing that, first of all, there is a part of you that has learned to do that in order to keep you safe. And that part of you is just trying to make sure that you behave in a way that doesn't create a scenario where the other person will shame you, will make fun of you, will reject you, will push you away, will think you're stupid, will think you're weak. It's trying to stop that disconnection from you and someone else, which is very normal because we are relationally dependent species. We're herd species. We're social creatures. We rely on connection. And that's very human and very normal. So it's about your own self-talk. And when I'm needing someone outside of me to have a specific self-talk, that won't be guaranteed that that person can do that. And this is where we kind of feel a bit powerless. I just need him to say this to me, or I need her to say this to me. You can start giving these things to yourself. That doesn't mean that you are all you need. And that doesn't mean that we're not relationally dependent species and we need others. Of course we need it. But we're talking about self-talk in this example. Now, I want to tell you a story about myself because there's a part that extends this as well. So we went to America and we were in many meetings, meeting a lot of people. I was with a team. There were, I think, about 7 of us. And we were going from meeting to meeting to meeting. And we were talking to people about the prospects of how to work with each other and what we can do. So these meetings were like, you know, everyone was, okay, this is what I do. This is what this person does. This is what this person does. This is what we're all trying to do. So we're all talking and everyone's talking about what they do in themselves in that sense and in that regard. And then there was this one meeting that we had with a business person. There were many times where in those meetings I would be like, oh, I'm Arian, I'm a transformational coach, I do healing, I'm a spiritual teacher, this is what I do, this is what we're trying to implement in a center that we're actually trying to build. And so there were many times where I had this conversation and I said what I said, but there was this one time where this person that we were meeting said, I'd like to hear from you what it is that you do. And I went, oh, okay. So I, as normal, started to talk and started to say what I do, what it is that I'm trying to create. And then out of nowhere, I felt my chest like beating, like boom, 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 boom. And I felt my neck like tightening up a bit. And I felt my body getting a little bit like tighter and like kind of rigor mortisly, like, you know, and I was like, what's happening here? And I was aware enough that something was happening. Instantly, in the middle of my conversation, I realized like, oh, there's a part of me coming out that doesn't feel like I'm good enough to be where I am. That feels like this is way too much for me. And no, I'm not able to do this. Now, it got me to the stage where I actually like was trying to talk. I found myself scanning my body. My hairs were stood up on my legs, on my arms, the back of my neck. I started getting clammy and I was like, what is going on? All of that was happening. I struggled to talk, forcing the words out because I was observing. As the observer, I wasn't the fear and I was observing. So I was trying to talk and I couldn't. And I went, and I was like, I repeated things that I said and everyone in the table, everyone understood like what was going on. It was like, oh, like he's not comfortable. And the guy was like, no, I understand. He was very kind. And he was like, no, I understand like what happened. Thank you for saying what you said. I get it. So like he was kindly enough, like making me stop. And then I was like, what just happened? And instantly, they started continue talking. And I was like, what just happened there? Okay, a part of me came up and I did that exploration. And this part of me was feeling like it's not good enough to be in this meeting, to be in the environment that it's in, to try and create everything that this part of me is trying to create. And whilst everyone else was talking after that, I realized that there was this part of me that just was waiting for the meeting to be over so then I could go tell people like, try and make it funny, to be like, hey, that was funny, that wasn't it? Oh, did you see what I did? I like, oh, that was really funny. And it was a way of me trying to make things okay. Like, oh, if I make it funny, then everyone's going to be okay. No one's going to think I'm stupid. No one's going to think I'm weak. No one's going to think I'm pathetic. And it'll be really nice. And then I realized, like, no, that's actually me trying to calm myself down externally from me. That's me trying to get that external validation that everything is okay, even though I'm the one who choked. I'm the one that couldn't say anything. So I was looking outside of myself to calm myself down because I was very panicked and very shameful and very scared. And I understood. I was like, oh, this is that part of me. I've just become that part of me. So I realized, I started speaking to that part of myself. I was saying things like, I completely get it. I understand. It's okay that you feel the way you do. How you feel is correct 100% of the time. It's a communication. I'm not angry at you. I'm not annoyed at you that what we did. That's okay. Even if we call this a failure, that's okay. I love you. And I promised you that I'd never abandon you and I'd never speak to you terribly anymore or anything. So that's okay. I don't care if everyone thinks I'm ridiculous. I've got your back. And as soon as I was saying things like that, every time after that, it kept coming up. I said the same thing. I love you. Don't worry. Everything's okay. And I was like, whew. So I started I was physically feeling the self-validation. I was physically feeling calming myself down with that self-talk. And then the meeting finished. And I intentionally didn't even bring it up. And no one else brought it up because they were being kind to me. They didn't want, they thought I might have been embarrassed or something, but I intentionally didn't bring it up because I was like, no, I've got you. I've got your back. I'm going to be here for you. And it kept coming up again. It kept coming up again. It kept coming up again. And honestly, within a day, I'd say a day and a half max, I was so over it. I was so okay with it. I was completely like, that is fine with me. And if people talk about it, they talk about it. If they don't, they don't. That is also fine with me. What I used to do in that moment is, oh my God, fucked up. Oh my God, I really fucked up. Shit, I fucked up. All right. Okay. And then at the end of the meeting, I would say to people, oh, that was funny, wouldn't it? Try to make some funny, comic-y, awkward interaction with people, which no doubt would be like, they'd be like, yeah, it was. And I'd be looking for that external validation. But that wouldn't have helped because when I used to do that in the past, weeks later, my toes would still be curling up about it. I'd still be thinking about it. I'd still be thinking, oh my God, does everyone think I'm ridiculous? No one sees my value. No one sees my worth. No one sees that I can do it. All these people that I work with, now they think that I'm ridiculous. And it was a huge lesson in self-talk for me because I was able to resolve my concern, my fear, everything that was happening in that sense because of my self-talk. Don't get me wrong, integration is a huge part of it as well. And I did integration work before it and I will continue doing it after as well. But in those moments where I can't be like, right, everyone shut up. I'm just going to integrate right now. I'm just going to go in externally. Self-talk is key. So to become aware of how you talk to yourself on every moment, every single moment of every day, and just know that you can actually choose to speak to yourself however you want, even if 100% of the people in your life disagree. If they all think you need to get your shit together and you need to start, you don't need to take on anyone's belief, anyone's behavior. You get to choose how to speak to yourself. So in the moments where you might drop the egg when you're making lunch, catch yourself and choose to speak to yourself in a different way. The way that I did it was, how would I speak to my son if he dropped an egg? Would I berate him and shout at him? No. Or better yet, how would I speak to my friend if they dropped an egg? How would I speak to a child, my niece, my nephew? Anyone that you see that you just love so much that you would never treat terribly, how would you speak to that person? And then that's how I started. I was like, okay, I need to speak to myself like I would speak to my son. That's how I learned to start truly speaking to myself in an extremely loving way, in the most loving way that I can. And then you feel it. You actually feel that it's okay. It's okay if you drop an egg. It's okay if you stain the carpet, stain the couch, break the bed. Does anyone ever remember dropping an egg 10 years ago? Like, it's not even a thought. It's completely okay. Spilling water, not doing certain things in the way that everyone believes you should. It's completely fine. Your entire reality is within you, and how you talk to yourself is one of the biggest players of how your reality is going to manifest. It shapes your identity. Your self-esteem is the biggest player in creating your self-esteem, is how you treat yourself, not necessarily how others treat you. Because even though how others treat you play a huge role in affecting you, the main reason it's affecting you is because we're taking that on. So you can start deciding not to take that on. And the integration work gets you there even faster. This is not an overnight thing of, all right, now it's done. This is an ongoing thing that you need to keep reminding yourself, that you need to keep practicing. Self-talk is very, very valuable. Very important. It's very, very, very valuable to understand that even though most of the world says inner critic, there's actually no such thing as the inner critic. Because when you say there's an inner critic, you're seeing this part of you, this one part that you feel like exists to criticize. That's not what it is. It's this part of you is going to criticize you, and this part of you is going to criticize you, and this part of you is going to criticize you, and this part. And if you see them all as one, you won't be able to understand them. So understand that there isn't like this one essence of you that's a critic. When you are understanding that, oh, there's a part of me criticizing me, it gives you more information. It allows you to go, okay, I can hone in on this part and understand this part. When I say like you can choose to talk to yourself differently, if you do talk to yourself differently and you feel that that is gaslighting or feel that that's not right, that feeling is then more communication. It's like, oh, why is that uncomfortable to me? What's all that about? That's another part of me that I'm becoming aware of. Or maybe it's the opposing part to the part of myself that's criticizing. And when you're going towards this criticizing part of you, remember, it's always about validating. So like you said, this part of you has learned to criticize you like this in order to keep you safe. So listen to it. Like, listen to this part of you. I'm not going to try and shut you up. I'm not going to try and stop you. By understanding and by truly seeing that all parts of me are for me, not against me, and by truly seeing that this criticizing behavior was a behavior that was adopted in order to keep me safe, it changes the way that I see the criticizing part of myself, because it truly makes me go, oh, you're genuinely just trying to help. So when I get to that stage where I see it as a genuine part of myself that's trying to help, I can literally thank it. I can thank this part of me. I can be grateful. I can literally have gratitude for a part of me that had to speak to me like this, because honestly, if this part didn't, then I would be scolded all the time. I would get told off all the time. I might get slapped. I might get physically abused, emotionally abused. So by truly going towards this part of me with curiosity of trying to understand it and having this kind of like mentality of, no, I get it. Like, speak. Yeah, I'm not going to try and change what you're saying. I just want to understand. Because in those moments, we're not trying to change what this part is saying. We're just trying to understand. A huge mistake that a lot of people make, and I made myself, and honestly, I was stuck in my suffering because of this for the longest time, is that everyone sees healing as like a to-do list. Like, I got to do this one, okay, this part of myself and this part of myself. And then when you see it as a thing to do, it's like, I need to fix this. I need to fix this. And if I'm looking at this part of myself like I need to fix it, I'm making it wrong because I see it as broken. So if I'm making it wrong, that's the invalidation. If I'm going there just to fix it, it's a huge invalidation. It won't work. But if I'm going there just to be with it, then I'm going to understand. Now, that's how I validate, and that's how I truly go with this energy of, I just want to hear what you have to say. So say whatever you want to say. I'm not here to try and change what you're saying. I'm just here to listen to you. I'm here to feel what you're feeling and understand what you're going through. Because when you truly connect to that part of yourself and feel that part of yourself, you'll see that there's fear under that anger, because there's fear under anger 100% of the time. A lot of the time as well, you'll get despair, which is powerlessness. And the criticizing behavior is because you feel powerless to change the reality that you're in, what you're experiencing. Okay, well, all right, I've done this. Now what? I've done this, now what? There's a level of impatience there. The reason that impatience is there is because every single decision a human being makes is because of the way that it's going to make them feel. Every single 100% of the decisions that we make is because how it's going to make us feel. Now, a lot of people want to achieve great things. A lot of people want to arrive at an end goal result. And if you're impatient to get there, it's because what that end result is going to mean to you about you. If I'm in a program, especially that it's all about me doing internal work and healing, finding my worth, finding my value, finding my love, what does it mean when I achieve it? Well, it means that I'm valuable. It means I'm good enough. By doing it, it actually, I'm finally good enough. So if achieving it means I'm good enough, what does that mean about me now not achieving it? It means that I'm not good enough. So my desire to hurry up is because I don't feel good enough the way that I am now. That's why I really want to come on, go. And that's why I'm impatient. That's what patience is. A lot of people think that patience is, all right, relax, calm down. Don't worry about it. We'll get there. It's not. Patience is more information. The universe is saying to you, you need to practice patience. The universe is actually telling you in that moment, you need to realize why right now is not good enough for you. And it's not necessarily the situation, it's how I feel about myself. It's like the universe pointing you back inside. Go to the part of yourself that doesn't feel you're worthy enough or you're good enough, or feels however it does, that is making you go, I need to get there, I need to get there, I need to get there. That's what patience is.